and the wife were heading out, taking the same old back way route to the only bar in this one-light town. Like every other night, the place was packed. We barely found 2 seats in the back. Annie got a beer and I ordered up around. 20 minutes later, Annie said, "I'm hot." Reached across the table and down my shot, even though she doesn't care too much for whiskey. She got this crazed look in her eyes, turned around and French kissed some guy, rubbing his crotch and acting rather risky. It started with a kiss, and then it went from there. She was going for broke, without any care. It started with a kiss, that's how it went down. Now we can't show our faces around this town. I said, "What the hell's gotten into you?" She said, "Nothing yet, but that'll change real soon." As he stood up and she got to her knees, she looked at me with a twinkle in her eye, undid his buckle and pulled down his fly as his pecker poked out for everyone to see. All the guys just couldn't stop staring as he dropped the pants he was wearing, and his Johnson smacked her right in the face. She grabbed him right where he stood and proceeded to engulf his whole manhood, back and forth like a piston, picking up the pace. She was going wild, I was starting to think, this guy here must have roofied her drink, 'cause she rarely likes to give oral sex. Next thing I know, he says, "I'm gonna blow," bucking her head like in a rodeo. She milked him dry, then yelled,
"Who's next?"
It started with a kiss, and then it went from there. She was going for broke, without any care. It started with a kiss, that's how it went down. Now we can't show our faces around this town. She kissed Morgan's organ, wasn't coy with Roy. Then came Mike, who brought along his boy, and he tried to figure out who was going first. Little Mikey quickly jumped in front of Pop, thrust it in her mouth and couldn't stop, and he worked him till he finally burst. Then came Rick, who was rather thick, and he gasped at the size of his stick before regaining her composure. She grabbed his sack and with a little grin pushed away his nuts, took thick Rick in. He rolled his eyes back on the edge, he went over. It all started with a kiss, and then it went from there. She was going for broke, without any care. It started with a kiss, that's how it went down. Now we can't show our faces around this town. Alice got a lick, but Doris wanted more. They were trannies from the boutique next door, weird seeing girls with penises under their skirts. Well, Alice and Doris got on either side as Annie opened up her mouth real wide, slurping on them both between each of their spurts. The tyranny said, "You guys are a blast," but Annie was already on another one fast as 2 more guys got into position. Well, it looked like Annie wasn't going to stop until she sucked out each and every drop. Clearly she was a girl who was on a mission. It started with a kiss, and then it went from there. She was going for broke, without any care. It started with a kiss, that's how it went down. Now we can't show our faces around this town. The waitress said, "What about us girls?" Annie pulled up her skirt and gave it a whirl, shoving her tongue right up the waitress's butt. Annie munched away, mouth full of drool, with the waitress riding her like a mechanical bull, coming on her face with us all looking in shock. Well, Annie was a jizz-glazed mess from her head to the bottom of her dress, trying to get her out of there real quick. She slapped my hand away, said, "Don't you dare," as another guy grabbed the back of her hair. She said, "I'm too busy sucking all these dicks." About 2 hours later, Annie finally came to, saying, "Oh my God," at all the guys she blew, "we're gonna have to move to another city." I said, "Honey, you don't need to worry none. These 40 guys said they all got their fun, and if you come back, the drinks are always free." It started with a kiss and a date, rape, drug. She gargled 40 guys, there comes she chugged. There's no going back, because she went down. This bar is the only place we can come to now. It started with a kiss. It started with a kiss. It started with a kiss.